How about a part two of the Week 10 preview here on the Audible? Cecil, Lammey, Sigmun Bloom, Saints and Carolina. Carolina side much more interesting and fun. The Saints side without Rashid Shaheed, you're wondering, will Devon Vele actually do something? But it's also the Saints, Bloom. So how excited can we get about their matchup against the Panthers in Week 10?
Maybe not excited, but relieved if you have Chris Olave, as he should go back to being a target hog. And Juwan Johnson, actually, again, one of many tight ends for the Tucker Craft teams like mine, or for people who are looking for bye week coverage for your tight end like Travis Kelce or Jake Ferguson. Maybe Kellen Moore will start to throw the ball to Alvin Kamara. I don't know. And Carolina defense, pick up the Carolina defense, play that defense that went into Lambeau and made Jordan Love look like he took a couple steps down on the development ladder.
Yeah, do that. Now with Carolina, Rico Dowdle a little bit banged up. Let's watch this situation bloom. Of course, as we know, everyone's super excited about what's happening with Dowdle. You're like, wow, this is awesome. And then he pops up with a quad. He doesn't
Yep.
practice on Wednesday. Full disclosure, we're recording Thursday morning. Uh, Definitely should be out there. So maybe just kind of a maintenance thing.
Yeah.
They're taking it easy on him. Dave Canales did say that Dowdle would be out there today. Again, this is Thursday morning. So, all right, they're being smart with Dowdle, but man, I don't like seeing him in a DNP on Wednesday.
Yeah, you're right about that. And that's something where we thought maybe Chuba Hubbard was closer to shut him down. That news certainly puts him back into play as a backup running back that maybe even this week will get more run. Like you said, everything is reassuring coming out of Carolina, but wouldn't be the first time that a team reassured us about a player and then he didn't play anyway. So we're going to watch this situation. But see, I think they have to lock the stadium to keep Rico Dowdle off the field.
Yes. Yes.
So he's on the field. He's in your lineup. Tedder McMillan is a wide receiver 3 flex. You want some upside, but with the defense and Rico Dowdle, this team isn't going to really air it out. Remember, they're 5-4. All they have to do is win a game they should win. They're in the playoff picture.
Yeah, they are in the playoff picture, and you are ready to rock and roll with your fantasy team chugging towards the playoffs. Just checking on the status of Brian Thomas. A low grade high ankle sprain because it's Jacksonville and Houston up next. So Jacksonville side first. Low grade high ankle sprain. I don't know if there's such a thing because it's a high ankle sprain,
Right.
which is essentially, in a way, a broken leg.
Yeah.
A small fracture high above the ankle. Okay, Brian Thomas is dealing with that. They're saying Liam Cohen's like he could play. I don't think so, Bloom.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And with Travis Hunter banged up there as well, you're like, okay, Jacksonville, what you gonna do?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game. They're already facing a tough defense. And it's kind of like being kind of pregnant, sort of pregnant. You got a high ankle sprain or you don't have one. And we're not going to see Thomas. I don't think we're going to see De'Ami Brown coming off a concussion. We are going to see some of Jacoby Myers, but more as an outside receiver. So it's Parker Washington in the slot as at least a wide receiver 3 flex, certainly in PPR leagues. And then a lot of Travis Etienne. He caught 5 balls last week, so you're feeling more comfortable playing Travis Etienne. And what's going to be a low scoring matchup, maybe even Bashal Tootin as a deep what the heck flex, because Houston's going to be starting Davis Mills, spoiler alert. So Jacksonville can be conservative. They don't have to put too much on Trevor Lawrence's plate to win this game. And for Houston to win this game, well, they better hope that Davis Mills got a lot better since last week.
Yeah, since last week, or they'd better hope they just hand off the ball all the time as much as they can against Jacksonville. So what does that say about like Nick Chubb, Woody Marks with Mills out there? How much confidence that give you in Dalton Schultz and Nico Collins, et cetera?
Right. Yeah, and I think that with Collins and Schultz, you're going to get volume. So, I mean, you're not going to bench Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz is in play. You'd feel a lot better with him if CJ Stroud was out there, but Schultz could catch 5 passes, maybe only for 30 yards, but I think that's about what he did in the first matchup with CJ Stroud. As far as Nick Chubb goes, missed practice on Wednesday with a foot. So I wouldn't treat him as a what the heck flex. I would say that Woody Marks is our what the heck flex. And if Chubb ends up missing more practices and is out, now Woody Marks becomes somebody that we're very interested in as a running back 2 or an upside flex play. As again, not a lot of offense. The first matchup, this one was 17-10. So we'll see. Not a lot of high expectations, but I look at the slate of games in the late games, And the primetime games, I do have some high expectations for those games.
Yeah, I've got some high expectations for these ones as well. Arizona and Seattle, our next game up. And this one's super exciting for both teams. For Arizona, it's like, okay, Kyler Murray injured. I'm using air quotes if you're not watching or here on YouTube. Okay, Jacoby Brissett taking over. Guys are super excited because you're going to get passes. You're going to get touchdowns, Trey McBride. Are they going to run the ball? And who is it? And does it even matter?
Yeah, against Seattle. I mean, you might want to run the ball against Seattle. They have an excellent pass defense. Teams have leaned very pass heavy against them anyway. But with Devon Witherspoon back out there, we saw what happened to Washington last week. Remember, Jaden Daniels didn't get hurt until late in that game, so they shut down Washington. Not without Terry McLaurin, but Jacoby Brissett has had 3 straight great fantasy games. This is his toughest test yet. And if you're in the camp of saying Jacoby Brissett's a journeyman backup, yes, he's looked good in these games, put up some numbers, but now you're going to see him look like a journeyman backup. This would be the game. If he doesn't, now remember, Jacoby Brissett is signed for next year in Arizona. So Superflex leagues, Dynasty, keep this in mind. If you do play running back, it's Amari DeMercado over Bam Knight, simply because DeMercado can do more on passing downs. DeMercado looked pretty good last week. Once upon a time this year, he had a long touchdown run, except that he threw the ball away at the goal line. Marvin Harrison, seemingly back last week, a really good game. But again, this week against those long, physical, fast, athletic corners for Seattle, well, it's a good test for him. The one guy we know that's going to be fine is Trey McBride. And this game was an excellent back and forth game when these teams played earlier this year. And now you're seeing Trey McBride every week with Jacoby Brissett scoring. So that's going to have to be how they attack this defense that is surging, and a quarterback that is surging for Seattle.
The quarterback that now with more weapons.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. How's that going to look? I'm super excited about Sam Darnold. Jacoby Brissett's trying to be Sam Darnold, right? And
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's just trying to go out there and sling it and throw it deep. And now he's got more weapons to do just that.
Yeah. Isn't that like a trading for Rashid Shaheed's like a gift showing in a relationship that's going well? Here's a gift.
Here's your favorite thing, a deep
Right.
target.
Right. Here's that nice diamond necklace you always wanted, right? So Sam Darnold, outstanding. Now, Arizona, we just watched on Monday night. They have a good defense, very underrated defense. They also got a big addition in first round pick Walter Nolan up front, who was outstanding in his debut. And Dak Prescott at home looked pretty frustrated. Now he got banged up, but this is going to be an interesting test to see if Sam Darnold can keep this going. But again, with Rashid Shaheed, now you're stretching the defense vertically, and you're going to play, can Jackson Smith and Jigba get even more efficient on his targets? Probably. We're going to see if Cooper Kupp is out there. Torrey Horton. Now, probably Torrey Horton will play more than Rashid Shaheed this week. So both Shaheed and Horton are what the heck flex plays. What I'm most interested in, and also the tight ends, by the way, the tight ends were Sam Darnold. So keep this in mind. Sam Darnold, the first time around, had like 242 and a touchdown. So it was one of his floor games, but he didn't have Rashid Shaheed. He wasn't peaking the way that he is right now. But even in that game, I think Elijah Arroyo had 2 for 44. AJ Barner had like 3 catches and a touchdown. So again, you're looking for potential replacements for a bye week or Tucker Kraft. Those guys were successful in the first matchup, and now everything is opened up. Does it open things up for Kenneth Walker? That's the big question. He got 57% of the snaps. He got more of the red zone opportunities. I think this backfield is shifting in his favor. So Charbonnet is a what-the-heck flex. Maybe a breakout game with Kenneth Walker, maybe facing some light boxes, and maybe Seattle is going to be able to give defenses questions that they can't answer.
Maybe Rams and 49ers is going to be out flipping standing. Maybe. Depends on the 49ers side. Now, this one's in San Francisco. The Rams travel, and here comes the Rams. First off, if you're on YouTube, watch Thinking Football. It's one of my favorite channels, and he was going over Sean McVay's insert motion, exit motion, escort motion, and the way that he lines up Puka Nacua as a tight end.
Yes.
Like, it's all about declaration. It's all about influence. And it's all about getting someone in a sub package or having a condensed formation that's really a passing formation. It's fantastic. It's perfect. And it's fun to watch Matthew Stafford run this Rams team and maybe run them all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we've seen this matchup as a NFC title game, like in the Shanahan-McVay era, and it could be an NFC title game this year. Certainly, of these two teams, the Rams are the one where all the pieces are falling into place right now. First matchup, Stafford had 389-3. By the way, Matthew Stafford's been an elite fantasy quarterback in the last like 5 or 6 games. Why would that stop? Puka Nacua is a little banged up, but all signs point to him playing. And see, you're right, Max Toscano, who, if you're not following him on Twitter, the tight end guy, and all kinds of great football insight, he pointed that out about a month ago, Cease, that Nacua is a tight end, and hey, imagine, you're talking about number 1 overall pick. Whoa, Puka Nacua, the tight end, would be the number 1 overall pick of all number 1 overall picks in fantasy leagues because he's the most valuable wide receiver. Now put him at tight end. He is basically a tight end. And like you said, Cease, there's innovation going on here. And also this archetype, I think it goes back to, say, like Hines Ward, where you have a wide receiver who is an elite wide receiver, not because he's 6'4" and can run a 4.4 and can make these soaring catches downfield, but because he's an outstanding blocker, relishes the physical confrontations, both after the catch, going over the middle, and as a blocker. So this is fun. Puka Nacua is so much fun. Just needs to stay on the field. Kyron Williams caught 2 scores in the first matchup. Again, this offense is surging. The touchdowns are going to come how and where. Some of them are going to come from Matthew Stafford, probably one of them to Kyron Williams in some way. Also, Devontae Adams is scoring at will at this point. Once they get in the red zone, it's like a layup to throw the ball. Devontae Adams uncovering. And then, of course, the last time these teams played, Sean McVay hadn't discovered his tight ends yet. So now we've seen 2 straight weeks where they spread the ball around to all 4 tight ends. Arthur Smith is looking jealous now. Arthur Smith's like, hey, you took my shtick and you're doing it actually better than I do it. So is there anyone to play here? Maybe not. Terrence Ferguson's been making some big plays. However, it does increase Stafford's upside. And what's fascinating is where we say Stafford is lighting it up, San Francisco's going in the opposite direction. They want to be a ball control team. So we have a contrast in intent and style in this game.
And I love it. And who's going to come out on top with the 49ers? Does it seem like Groundhog's Day? Because I'm looking over the 49ers injury report. I'm like, oh, it's kind of the same. And again, it's Thursday morning. So all the Wednesday, like, hey, Christian McCaffrey didn't participate in Wednesday. That's what he normally does, whether he's hurt or not. This is non-injury. It's just rest. So what are you expecting from the 49ers? And as we wait, again, everyone's kind of just looking at Brock Purdy. What's the latest on Brock Purdy? We're waiting. That's the latest.
Yeah, and Mac Jones is playing so well, they don't need to rush Purdy back, and he's made it clear this is not an Arizona situation. Everyone has to be so delicate about quarterbacks and their feelings. Think about what you're saying. Think about your words before you say them. But Brock Purdy is the quarterback when he's healthy. And with turf toe, I guess that's the thing, right? Words, what do they mean? If you have turf toe during the season, you might not be healthy for the whole season. If Mac Jones keeps playing well, I'm not saying he's going to replace him for the whole season, but they can afford to be patient. So let's watch that. And again, does it even matter when we're projecting this team? Certainly doesn't matter with what the, again, intent and goals of this team is going to be to slow the game down, and certainly makes sense. Keep Matthew Stafford on the sidelines. And a lot of Christian McCaffrey and resurgent Brian Robinson, not necessarily for fantasy, except as an injury upside backup, but keeping that running game going. And then out of the targets, maybe you'll play George Kittle. You certainly play George Kittle. Maybe you'll play Kendrick Bourne if Mac Jones is starting. In the first game, which was incredibly competitive, surprisingly competitive, Mac Jones played well, and it was one of those 140-something yard games for Kendrick Bourne. Can he do it again? If Mac Jones is out there, at least as a what-the-heck flex, you should be open to it.
You should be open to it and open your ears. More Audible coming your way. We've got 4 games down. We've got 3 games to go. Plus, what the heck flex? And let's get to that, Sigmun. Not what the heck flex, not yet. But up next, it is the Detroit Lions against the Washington Commanders. And oh boy, Washington. But first, Detroit. A few things to go over here. One, Jahmyr Gibbs, can you do more, please? Everyone else keep doing their thing. And the Jameson Williams thing, is he actually becoming trustworthy for fantasy GMs?
I think so. I do. It's 2 out of 3 good games. You're looking at Washington that gave up 4 touchdowns to Sam Darnold in the first half. Cody White, special teamer, caught a 60-yard touchdown last week. against Washington. So you've got to love this. Could be the beginning of a wonderful thing. And remember, by the way, this is the game where the Lions and that season of promise last year ended. Not not in Washington, it was in Detroit, but I think that Dan Campbell is an emotional coach, and they remember, they know, and this is going to maybe a little extra mustard in this one because you want to show that we're not going to make the same mistakes. Jared Goff has a high ceiling in this one. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery can and probably both should score in this one. Sam Laporta, remember, coming out of the bye last week, 3 catches for over 60 yards and a touchdown on the first drive. And Washington is waving the white flag for their season right now. And of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, who may end up being the most valuable player among wide receivers this year if Puka Nacua can't stay healthy. Amon-Ra St. Brown also in that mold, not quite as psychotic in a great way. Thanks, Jared Verse, for that as Puka Nacua, but certainly a guy who gives that physical edge to a physical offense, an offense that can also strike with the deep shots, and a Washington defense that is not very well equipped to stop it and not very well equipped to keep up with the Detroit Lions.
Exactly. And that's what makes me so sad. So sad because no Jaden Daniels. Okay, Mariota, here you go. Looks like no Terry McLaurin, quad injury, unlikely to be available to play, according to Dan Quinn. So, as Ricky Waters used to say, for who? For what, Bloom?
Yeah, this is why you play deep dynasty fantasy football, because it can make something like this kind of exciting, right? You get to see some players you don't normally get to see.
Less depressing. How about that?
Yeah, less depressing. Well, it gives you something to watch. It's a lost season. Marcus Mariota. It is. I mean, for Washington fans, we cannot make this less depressing. There's
Right,
no doubt
right.
about that. But as a fantasy football player, and the run game stalling out, so to Corey Krosky Merritt, I mean, maybe if you do one last effort to establish the run, it's so hard to do that with Jaden Daniels. At least Marcus Mariota is a mobile quarterback. But yeah, you're looking at Deebo Samuel, who's slowing down, been banged up this year. Zach Ertz as probably the top 2 targets in this game. Very low ceiling guys in PPR. Maybe there's a reasonable floor there. But here's your excitement. Jalen Lane is going to get. Luke McCaffrey went down with a broken collarbone on the opening kickoff last week, I think. So Jalen Lane, 4th round pick. Remember, measurable wise, he was a Tyreek Hill clone. Measurable wise, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, that dog in him, but chance to maybe grow that. Traylon Burks, how about that? There's a redemption story for you. We shouldn't put any dirt on his grave yet, as he's going to get a chance now, because that's what Ben Sinnott. Now, I'm not picking up Ben Sinnott. I might be looking at him as a waiver wire watch list guy after being a 2nd round pick in 2024. He's been released in a lot of dynasty leagues, even some tight end premium dynasty leagues. So you could let him try to get him going. You're in evaluation mode at this point if you're Washington, which after going to the NFC Championship game, yeah, that stings.
Yeah, it totally stings. It stings when we talk about Steelers and Chargers. If you had DK Metcalf last week, but if you're a Steelers fan, you're like, yay, all the tight ends?
Right.
All the tight ends eat? Okay.
Yeah.
I will take tight ends eating less if DK can do more, please. Is that in store? Steelers, Chargers.
Yeah, this is one that may hinge on how things go when the Chargers have the ball. But if Justin Herbert can be successful against the Steelers defense that found itself last week, then Aaron Rodgers might have to keep up. And certainly he's viable as a quarterback 2 superflex this week. He's upgraded the offense. And Jalen Warren looks really good for this week. If this is a back and forth passing game, maybe as a deep what the heck flex you're looking at, Kenneth Gainwell. But like you said, DK Metcalf was a letdown last week in a game the Steelers controlled with their defense. If they have to keep up with Justin Herbert, now Metcalf could get a lot of targets. Darnell Washington's banged up. Let's watch this. I think he missed the first game with the first day of practice with a foot injury. It is a night game, so we might not know. But if he's inactive, now Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith become more interesting. And they're guys that could be interesting if the Steelers defense can control this game. And why could the Steelers defense control this game? Because the Chargers just lost Joe Alt for the season.
Yeah, and the Chargers pick up Trevor Penning. Of course, I remember him coming out, Northern Iowa, I believe.
Yeah, first round
coming
pick.
out as a tackle, yes. And then now playing guard. Previously here for the New Orleans Saints, now with the Chargers. Marion Hampton's still a few weeks away. And without Joe Alt, this Chargers offense has not looked good. Not great, Bob. What about this week?
And you're worried about Justin Herbert taking a lot of hits in this one. The Steelers like really teeing off on him. We saw the Steelers get Daniel Jones to revert back to turnover fest Daniel Jones last week. And I think it was the rookie Derek Harmon saying they just simplified the calls. That's all it took, just simplify the calls. I don't know, but this team has been a Jekyll and Hyde defensive team. They are on the road, but I would say that we still have to assume Herbert's going to throw a lot. So he's still a quarterback one. I don't think you're establishing the run with Kamani Vidal, and I'm not even sure that the Chargers see Vidal as clearly better than Jarrett Patterson, who looked pretty good. So let's watch that. Ladd McConkey. So we're going to see a return to short passing. When Joe Alt wasn't out there, the first game, he just got pummeled. The second game, Herbert was throwing a lot quicker. That's Ladd McConkey. And, of course, Rondé Gadsden. That's not going to go away. Quentin Johnson's a boom bust play. It's Steelers defense. There's probably going to be a lapse and a long touchdown, but maybe not. And then Keenan Allen has been very good against the Steelers in the past. Remember when they tried to cover him with a linebacker on a Sunday night? So Keenan Allen, wide receiver 3 flex, even though he's coming off of 2 slow weeks.
Okay, Eagles, Packers to wrap things up before what the heck flex here. And the Eagles just kind of licking their chops. Now with more Jalen Phillips, now with Howie Roseman, who I love, doing all the deals. All the deals belong to Howie. Philadelphia coming in fresh to this one with the Packers.
Yeah, the ups and downs on offense and on defense for Philly in the first half of the season, they're still situated very well. Jalen Hurts should be well rested and has a high floor. Saquon Barkley, we got to watch. He had a groin issue, minor, going into the bye. If it's still an issue after the bye, Tank Bigsby becomes more interesting. A.J. Brown missed a game with a hamstring. Got to watch him coming out of the bye. But again, as long as he's out there, he's in our lineup. Devontae Smith's in our lineup. Dallas Goedert's in our lineup. There's not a lot to talk about with this team in terms of fantasy strategy. It's pretty straightforward. But this offense has had some ups and downs in both the run and the pass game. Last time we saw them, the running game and the passing game were both clicking. Can they do that against a Green Bay team that right now has to come back from a real big letdown without their best offensive player?
Now, I hate to keep bringing this up to you, Bloom, but without Tucker Kraft, what's that going to look like this week?
And you wonder, Cease, what Matt LaFleur is thinking, because Tucker Kraft, like George Kittle, is probably more important for the running game than the passing game. So how does that affect Josh Jacobs? How does that affect the game plan? Are you airing it out more with Christian Watson? I think you're going to see Romeo Doubs get a ton of targets. Obviously, there's a chance for Luke Musgrave to make his mark on this game. The second-round pick, highly athletic, a vertical threat at tight end, but you got to have time to throw. Also, the Packers' offensive line has not been great. So this could be a game, Cease, that the Lambeau crowd is excited for on a Monday night, and they leave feeling like, where do we go from here? Because without Tucker Kraft, it's possible that nothing works. You put Jordan Love in the bullseye as the center of the offense. I don't know if he's ready for that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ready for what the heck flex out there, but we certainly appreciate you for listening to the Audible. 20 years we're celebrating this year for the Audible, and you know that if you look over your lineup and you just need some punch, who are some of those what the heck flex players here in week 10? I'll go over some of mine. Kenneth Gainwell, Blake Corum, Ty Johnson as a what the heck flex as well. Speaking of TJ, how about Tez Johnson, Tampa Bay against New England there? I like Tez Johnson as a what the heck flex. You mentioned Parker Washington. I believe that Jacoby Myers there in Jacksonville now, he can be a what the heck flex too. And, another Buffalo Bill. How about Keon Coleman as a touchdown? What the heck flex? Bloom, it's week 10. You need some punch. Who are your week 10? What the heck flexes?
I was going to make a joke about Johnson's, but I'm not going to do that. Sorry, Joe. Hey, Amari DiMercado. It's rough out there at running back. A few weeks ago, we had so many interesting running back situations. Now, Amari DiMercado, Devin Singletary, Jeremy McNichols. We saw whenever Washington got blown out by KC. Marcus Mariota dump it off to him a lot. Woody Marks, we talked about. Sean Tucker's interesting with Bucky Irving probably not playing and going into the bye. He was getting more work. Like you mentioned, Tez Johnson, wide receivers, Kendrick Bourne, Jerry Jeudy. The Jets just traded away their 2 best defensive players, one of which was a shutdown corner who's going to be on London in Germany. Matt Collins and Demario Douglas with Kayshon Boutte probably not playing this week. Calvin Austin, if you think this is going to be a high-scoring game, he's getting some praise from Aaron Rodgers, looking pretty good out there. And Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. We've seen the Bears be pretty vulnerable to passing attacks. Even Tyler Huntley was completing passes all over the place against them. So Jackson Dart should do some of that this week.
All right. He is Sigmun Bloom. You follow him on all the socials at Sigmun Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying, at the Audibles where you go. We appreciate you all. 20 years. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Would you please stay frosty, people?